All right, let's talk about something we all do, probably every single day. Googling something. For, what, the last 20 years? That's been the rule, right? But that whole world, the familiar page with those 10 blue links, it's going through maybe the biggest change we've ever seen. So let's really dig into what this means for, well, all of us.
This quote right here, it just nails the massive shift we're all living through. Seriously, think about that for a second. The whole game isn't about getting anyone, to click on your link anymore. Nope, it's about becoming the answer, the one the AI just spits out directly.
And look, this isn't some sci-fi movie stuff that's decades away. The stakes are super high, like right now. Get this. Gartner is predicting that by 2026, that's just around the corner, traffic to good old-fashioned search engines is going to drop by a massive 25%. A quarter of all those clicks? Poof! Gone.
All because of AI.
Okay, so to make sense of this huge change, we're going to break it down into 4 parts. First, we'll talk about the end of an era. Then, the rise of the answer engine. After that, we'll look at the promise and the peril. And finally, we'll get into the new playbook for how to navigate all this.
All right, part 1. The end of an era. We're saying goodbye to the 10 blue links. It's kind of wild to think about, but let's just take a second to remember the system that's pretty much defined the internet for as long as most of us can remember. I mean, for 2 decades, this was it. This was the whole game. The entire digital economy was built around this one simple goal: get to page 1. Businesses literally lived and died by whether they could rank on that first page. It's why SEO, search engine optimization, blew up into this multi-billion-dollar industry, all dedicated to grabbing one of those top spots. But yeah, that whole era is closing out, and fast.
So if the old way is dying, what's taking its place? Well, that brings us to part 2, the rise of the answer engine. We're moving from a world of options to a world of answers. And this is the disruptive force that's changing absolutely everything.
Okay, so the heart of this new world is this thing called zero-click search. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You ask a question and bam! Instead of getting a list of websites to check out, Google or Bing or whatever just gives you the answer directly. Your whole search journey starts and, this is the crucial part, it ends right there on that page. No click needed.
So what's really going on under the hood? Well, the huge difference is this shift from deterministic to probabilistic. Think of it like this. Traditional search is deterministic. It follows a strict set of rules like a recipe to give you a list of options. It's up to you to figure out which one is best. But AI search, that's probabilistic. It's all about guessing, predicting what it thinks is the single best recommendation. It's not giving you a list of ingredients. It's handing you the finished cake.
And why is this so powerful? Why are we all kind of drawn to it? It's simple psychology, really. Our brains are just, lazy. They're wired to take the path of least resistance. Sifting through 10 different links, figuring out who's right, piecing it all together, that's a lot of work. That's what scientists call cognitive load. Answer engines just do all that heavy lifting for us. And man, our brains absolutely love it.
Naturally, this new world demands a totally new strategy. So you can forget everything you knew about just stuffing keywords onto a page. The new game in town is AI SEO, or answer engine optimization. And it's not about tricking some simple algorithm anymore. It's about making your content so clear, so authoritative, that the AI actually trusts you enough to use you as a source.
Okay, which brings us to part 3, the promise and the peril. We're talking 2 sides of the same AI coin here. Because this technology is, on one hand, incredibly promising, but on the other, it's a huge threat to how the internet has always worked.
So let's start with the promise. Here's the optimistic take coming straight from inside Google. They're saying that AI search is actually expansionary. The idea is that because AI can answer more complex questions, people will actually start searching more, which in theory creates new ways for websites to get discovered inside those AI answers. It's a rising tide lifts all boats kind of argument. But then you have the other side, and it's not so optimistic. For publishers and creators, the people who actually make the stuff the AI learns from, this looks a lot like a traffic apocalypse. And the question is pretty stark. If nobody ever has to click a link to get an answer, how in the world do the websites that create that information survive?
And the threat isn't just about money and traffic. There's a huge technical problem lurking here. Maybe the biggest peril of them all, AI hallucinations. This is when the AI just makes stuff up. It gives you an answer that sounds super confident, totally plausible, and is just flat out wrong.
So how does something like that even happen?
Well, this Swiss cheese model is a great way to think about it. Imagine a bunch of slices of Swiss cheese lined up. A hole in just one slice? No big deal. But when the holes in all the slices line up just right, something can slip all the way through. It's the same with AI. You've got flawed training data, a training process that's a total black box, and weak fact-checking on the other end. When all those problems align, an error gets through. And that is literally how Google's AI ended up citing an April Fool's joke about microscopic bees powering computers as if it were a real thing. No joke.
Okay, so faced with this totally new and kind of weird world, what are we supposed to do? That brings us to our final section, the new playbook. Let's talk about how you can actually win in this new age of answers.
First things first, the goal itself has completely changed. The old goal was all about getting ranked on a page of options. The new goal? Getting recommended. It's that simple. You have to stop thinking about being one of 10 blue links and start thinking about how to become the AI's single trusted recommendation.
So how do you become that trusted source? Okay, here are a few key things. First, get straight to the point. Answer the question right away in your first paragraph. Don't make the AI dig for it. Second, you have to prove you know what you're talking about. Demonstrate real experience. Google has this acronym EEAT. It stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. That stuff is now gold. Next, make your proof points, like testimonials or case studies, super easy for machine to crawl and understand. Cite your sources. And finally, and this is a big one, humanize your content. AIs are getting good at spotting robotic, AI-generated text. A real personal story, that's going to stand out.
All right, here's a super practical checklist you can use to get started like today. 1. Audit your top 10 pages. Do they answer a question directly, right up front? 2. Add something called schema markup. It's basically like putting little labels on your content that tell the AI, hey, this is a recipe or this is a product review. It helps them understand context. 3. Cite sources that have high authority. 4, and this is a pro tip, check your Bing Webmaster Tools. A lot of AIs, even ChatGPT, use Bing for their live search data, so you got to be on their radar. And 5, as we said, inject that human voice.
So really, it all comes down to this. The era of finding information is pretty much over. For decades, that's what the internet was for. But that's not the future. The future is about synthesizing insight, taking all that information and making sense of it. And the AIs are getting scarily good at doing just that. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, are you ready for that?